Styx drummer Todd Sucherman is, objectively speaking, one of the best drummers in rock and roll. Now, here's the thing. I've known him for a very long time. We went to high school together, and we haven't hung out, well, for decades. So for this Car Con Carne, we had the chance to reconnect, and we met up at Poochie's in Skokie, really one of my all-time favorite hot dog places. And we talked about Styx, we talked about high school, and it is just an awesome episode.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
30 years ago, we were in high school together. We were
33.
No, it wasn't 33.
33. 1983. September 1983.
Okay, well, yes, you're right. We started in high school together in 83. But we were Nels West Indians. Here we are, all this time later. You're the drummer for Styx, and I'm doing a talk show in my car.
Well, James, if you told me 33 years ago that we'd be doing a podcast in your car, first I'd say, what the hell's a podcast?
Sure.
And secondly, I would have ordered exactly what I've ordered right here.
So, all right, we're at Poochie's in Skokie, which is this long-running hot dog joint. I'm a big fan. Now, I don't know how often you eat hot dogs on the road. My guess is, if you leave Chicago, what's the point?
Well, I used to eat hot dogs a lot more. I can make them very well with, home choices of either Nathan's or getting the Vienna beef, of course, is the best. Hebrew Nationals are pretty good, but most people don't understand that. Like, if you have a really good hot dog, it's not just garbage meat. It's actually it's good meat. And the kosher dogs, they're not putting the scraps in there. So, yeah, I eat less hot dogs now because as I'm marching towards 50 and have a young daughter, I want to be alive as long as I can. So I've made a lot of positive, progressive health choices, starting with diet.
Well done. I'm proud of you. I could learn from you.
Well,
Teach me.
But here, when in Rome, like, I can't wait to get out of Chicago. I was in Chicago 2 days ago, right? So I've probably eaten 9 pieces of sausage of Lou Malnati's pizza, and now I'm washing it down with dogs. I got to get the hell out of Dodge to survive. It's back to the salads after this.
Now, here's your Chicago credibility. I mean, you grew up like a block away from the original Lou's.
I grew up on the street with the very first Lou Malnati's, established 1971, myself, established 1969. So, that was the smell of, playing ball in the front yard or being in the backyard. If the wind was blowing that direction, the smell of the stewed sweet tomatoes and garlic, that butter crust, that the bready type of smell, that was the smell of my childhood.
It's funny, talking about being in high school together, I don't really remember you as a student. Like, I couldn't tell you how you did in school. I don't know what your grades were. But I remember you as the artist, as the musician. I mean, that's my lasting memory of Todd the teenager was, he was born to play drums. That was his thing.
Well, I mean, look, being a musician and playing professionally at an early age certainly goes a long way to sort of give you an identity. And I think, I was never really picked on or bullied because, like that, I was a kid that played drums. No one wanted to, bust my hands or anything like that. But you and I hit it off well. I remember my earliest memory of you is in gym class, and we were sarcastic and laughed at a lot of the same stuff.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That's how I became aware of you.
That's amazing. And here we are at Poochie's. I remember when we were kids, Poochie's was at a different location, like maybe a block west on Dempster Street in Skokie. And right behind that Poochie's is where everyone got their fake IDs.
Oh boy, that was a Skokie thing. I miss, being from Lincolnwood. I missed out on that. That's not in my Rolodex memory at all.
And you wouldn't have had a fake ID anyway as a kid because you were always so righteous.
Yeah, you could just pretty much walk into what was the Austin Liquors and get whatever you wanted anyway. Which, by the way, hilariously enough, the guy who tour managed REO Speedwagon, his family's business, he was a Skokie guy, owned Austin Liquors.
Get out.
Yeah.
How many underage gigs did you play? Like, you played a lot of bars, right?
Well, if you remember correctly, by '87, that band Adventures in Dining that Dave Allen and I were in, we would play the Hidden Cove Lounge.
Yeah, right.
And they just we packed the place, and there were literally people that we didn't even know wearing their red high school Niles West jackets. Like, I'm seeing them ordering drinks, and they're like grabbing like 3 pitchers from behind the bar, and they're like this total alcoholic dive bar, which I think might even still be there.
No, it's still there.
Oh my God,
we're going there next.
Okay. But we can't get in because all the goddamn kids in there. There's nowhere to sit. Yeah, they just didn't care. Like, you're 16, like, yeah, shots. Everyone's doing shots.
That's amazing. Past high school, you became the drummer for Styx 20 years ago. I mean, it's been 2 decades.
Yeah, it's going to be 21 next year.
I mean, I'm sure at first it was weird. You were stepping in for someone who passed away. But now, I mean, you've been the guy for 2 decades running. And this is you. This is your life.
Yes. I mean, this has been my job, anything that you do the first time, there's that sense of wow, and it only happens the first time. And then you're just fortunate, you just keep doing your job, and it becomes normal, whether you're going into sitting in an office, you're in a hotel room, and you play in front of people, but it's still exciting. The shows are still exciting, and I still have moments where I look over and I'm like, hey, Tommy Shaw's my singer. This is pretty damn cool. He's great, And the amazing thing about the band is that there's never a bad show. They give it their all, whether we're playing in a field in Nebraska or we're playing at Staples Center in LA.
These are arena shows. Styx does arena shows.
We
no
do
matter
all
what the
shows.
venue.
We do all shows.
No, I'm saying you play for an arena no matter what the venue.
Correct. Yes, so you get an arena show in a House of Blues or a Hard Rock, or in a field in Nebraska,
right,
or wherever. And those guys, they never phone it in. They leave it on the stage every show, and that's inspiring to me because, look, let's face it, you're playing 5 shows a week, and sometimes like, my back hurts, or I'm not, I got the sniffles, or I'm missing home, or whatever. You're in a little bit of a doldrums, and you need a break. You get out on stage, you see all the excited people, and they're, it's a palpable energy. You get in front of thousands of people, and my guys they throw down every night.
I've never met anyone else in the band. You are my connection to Styx. I get the sense, just from watching him on stage, seeing him in interviews, JY seems like a hoot.
He really is. He is very often sort of not the stage persona that you'd see or you'd imagine. He's a super high intellect that could speak knowledgeably about so many topics under the sun. He's very funny, but he's an old soul, and he's a softie. He's a sensitive guy, and he's super smart.
I believe that. We should eat as we talk.
Okay, by all means.
All right, so we're here at Poochie's. You had a hot dog philosophy back when you were healthy or more unhealthy.
Yes.
So you have like a hierarchy of sausage eating.
Well, in the old days, I would eat 3, and I would think that if you have room for fries, you got room for another dog. So, in the old days, I would have ordered 1 regular steamed dog, Chicago style, with everything. Mm-hmm. I would have ordered 1 charred cheddar dog with just probably mustard, onions, and celery salt, and then a Polish.
You did say 1 with everything. Really, one of the great modern era Styx songs.
Thank you very much. I love that song.
That song is so good. Which, okay, that brings up the question. 2003 was maybe the last studio album without covers. I've heard and read that you guys are working on stuff. Is that true?
We're always working on stuff, and we will write and record. So it's a matter of taking the time to pick things and put them together and actually do it. But we're always working. I can say that. So I think.
Well, the industry's so different now.
Well, look, it's basically it's sort of an exercise in burning money, but at a certain point, the artist in you needs to create something new, even if it's a monetary folly. Anything that's digitized is immediately digitized and shared for free amongst people, or like it's on YouTube, and you know what I mean. Like if you want to hear a song, you used to have to buy it or wait until it was played on the radio. Now you can just go to YouTube, and that Jones is taken care of. Like, oh yeah, cool, I remember that song, and then boom, no one paid for it. And come on, don't tell me that the clicks are doing anything on that.
But you're all a bunch of creative people. I can't imagine that urge, that inclination to create, can be pushed down for much longer.
No, I think some things are going to happen. It's certainly more difficult when we basically all live in different cities. So, people think, oh, well, you could sort of, you could record it for cheap. Well, you know what? Sometimes things sound cheap, and sometimes you need to go into a big recording studio with $1 million worth of stuff to you know what I mean? You're not going to get Dark Side of the Moon recorded on someone's laptop.
Agreed.
And when people say that, I'm like, it's foolish. So there's not only that, there's flights, there's hotels, there's transportation. I mean, just the simple how much it costs to, you got, a couple of engineers and you got the band members. Where are we going to order lunch from? Okay, there's that tab. What are we going to have for dinner? There's that tab. Like, do that day in, day out. People go, oh, you can record an album for cheap. No, not a good one. And no, you can't. I'll argue that until I'm blue in the face.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And Styx is not a garage band. You can't just bash something out.
No, we're not going to live like a bunch of 18-year-olds, like sleeping on a floor. Like, it's beyond that at this point.
You know what I've always liked about Styx? Speaking about music and Chicago, there was always, Styx music is always big, it's dramatic, but there was also that Chicago-ness, that Midwesterness, and mostly a lyrical thing. I think of Too Much Time and Grand Illusion, Blue Collar Man. These are guys who came up in the city of Chicago. These are songs that, as big and as bombastic as some of the arrangements get, they're still speaking to me on a very person-to-person level.
Well, I think that's something that resonated, obviously beyond the city limits of Chicago, in a national and international, broad-reaching sense. So maybe there is a little bit of that Midwestern sensibility or outlook or positivity. That's something that resonated at the time. That Styx was the first band to have 4 consecutive triple platinum records in a row.
And it's worth mentioning, in the 1970s, from 73 to 79, Styx put out an album every year. And think about that.
Well,
and I think there was a year between albums before Paradise.
Most bands, if you weren't working, it was like, oh, are they breaking up? What's wrong? Like you might take a year off and like someone would do a solo record or something like that. But if you went more than a year or 2 years, you were shrouded in mystery. Is the band over? Because that was...
and there was no way to plug in and get an update.
No.
Pre-internet. I mean, Hit Parader, maybe.
You're going to write a letter to the P.O. Box fan club?
Exactly.
Yeah, write Genesis in 1978. You guys, what's going on?
By the way, they're doing it again.
I believe that remains to be seen. I kind of don't believe it.
I mean, I remember, going back to high school gym class, I remember getting excited about the self-titled album tour, coming to the Rosemont Horizon for an infinite amount of dates.
November 11, 12, 13, 1983.
Stop it. You really remember the dates?
Absolutely.
Is it because it left that much of an impression on you?
Look it up. Well, it was the first time I'd ever seen the band. I'm also sort of an idiot savant with a lot of dates. By the way, there's one dog down the hatch. Thank you, James.
It was delicious, right?
Delicious. That's literally the taste the taste I grew up with.
Nothing beats a real deal Chicago dog. It is.
No.
It's got the sweet. It's got the heat. It's got the crunch.
Real quick, to just kind of go down talking about hot dogs. I don't understand why it's so damn difficult to get a Chicago dog with everything correct outside of Chicago. I've gone to so many Chicago hot dog places around the country, and it's like, the bun is not right, like the dog is right, or like they got this, that's right, but the dog was too big. It's too
or they
big.
Get the relish wrong.
Or the relish is wrong, or there's something wrong. There's only been a handful. There's a place in Weymouth, Massachusetts, in suburban Boston, that got it all right. And I went to talk to the guy. I'm like, hey, man, like, where are you from? Evanston. I'm like,
course.
There we go.
Of course.
That guy's not going to friggin' mess this up.
He swore an oath when he opened the place.
You have to. But there was a place in it burned down. It might have had a case of Greek lightning, but there's a place called Chi-Town Dogs in
I've never heard that before, and I obviously know what that means. That's
it burned down, and now it's a food truck, and I haven't been there. Their dog was correct. Their Polish was a travesty. It was one of the Polishes where it was gray on the outside, and you bite into it, and it's kind of like blood pink on the inside. And you're like, come on, what?
Well, we got Polishes here. They do the char Polish at Pucci's.
It's Polish time.
Yeah, it is Polish time. And
I got to eat the pickle. I like eating the pickle first. Off it.
yeah, because you can't do it all with one mouthful. Your jaw just doesn't work like that.
No.
I mean, not since you did adult features back in the day.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
You got a little sport pepper there?
There's a little unexpected heat.
Yeah, it's the oil that gets you in those peppers. Speaking of years and calendar dates, next year's the 40th for Grand Illusion.
Wow. Yeah.
I know you've done the full album performance of Grand Illusion before.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a pretty watershed album for the band. Good excuse to do something.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We did the sort of the Grand Illusion tour. Was it it was the 20th anniversary in the 1997 tour I did. So that's kind of what struck me when you said 40. I just went back like, oh yeah, it's math. Math doesn't lie. It's 20 years. Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what...
You should do a thing.
I mean, I love doing the double album tour, which we really only did, I want to say it was like 21, 22, 23 dates. And we never went really west of the Mississippi. It was all sort of like New York, New England, down to Florida, and sort of Chicago or maybe St. Louis. So that's something that I think that we could take out west.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of do that again. And that was really fun to do because you got to hear the record in its entirety, and there's sort of a gravitas, or it felt sort of important, or as close to like being in Pink Floyd or something as I'm ever going to feel, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you really get into the progness of it all, as opposed to just like, hey, here we are, we're going to crank out the hits, and I blast, and kablam, kablam. So I enjoyed the pacing of that. So yeah, maybe we could do something like that again. I'd love that.
I know you do a lot of clinics. You've got DVDs, books. You teach drumming. Oh, the Polish is right on, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Now that you are of a certain age, you mentioned you're approaching 50, which is weird because I'm only 30. Now that you're of a certain age, I mean, is mentorship and teaching important to you? Like, kind of passing this knowledge on to the young Todds?
I think it's not only critical and crucial. I believe it's our duty is to pass on the information that we've learned. And not to sound cliche, but we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. And I think that you can go a long way to help and nurture young people, their lives, their interest in something positive, and you share that palpable energy and excitement about something artistic, and then it's up to them to take it to new heights or do something new with it, or to continue a tradition. So, in doing the drum clinics, it's nice for supplemental income, of course, but really the payment is when you're kind of doing the autograph table, meet and greet afterwards, and you see some 16-year-old kid that's got like this life force behind his eyes, and he said, when you said this, it really resonated with me, and you see that they can't wait to go home and practice, or if it's too late, like the next morning they're going to be playing the drums. That's really the payment, is if you can really change someone or fire someone up. Even if they don't end up doing it for their livelihood, but they do it because they love it. Lots of people play golf. They're not doing it because they're going to play for their green jacket or whatever it is. Is that the Masters or something?
Maybe.
No, I'm not a golf guy.
Me neither.
There we go. Clearly. I gotta have another bite here. But yeah, I really do feel it's our responsibility to share what we can, and it's something I will continue to enjoy doing.
So I guess, who mentored you? Was it your father growing up? Who was that inspiration? Who saw that life force in you that helped inspire you?
Well, certainly it started with my father. It also started with really my whole nuclear family. My mother was an actress and singer and could play piano. My father was a drummer and could play piano and was a doctor. He put himself through med school playing drums in World War II era.
Really working both ends of his brain, both sides.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how he did that for so long. I mean, he was one of the house drummers at the Chez Paris, which was like the Cotton Club of Chicago.
Yeah.
He played with everybody. And, got offers to go on the road all the time, but he couldn't because he had to practice. I mean, he did do some road work, and he was Lena Horne's drummer for a little while and did a tour with her in the South where she couldn't stay at the same hotel that the guys in the band were,
Does he have a stash of pictures that you've ever broken into?
Yeah, I have a wonderful picture of her in Lena Horne.
I bet it's amazing.
It's amazing. I'll show it to you later. It's like out of a 1940s movie.
That's so cool.
Amazing.
You've throughout the years, you've been able to perform with a lot of really fascinating and tremendous artists. I gotta say, Brian Wilson, neat. All these other people you've played with, cool. It's Spinal Tap that seems to resonate the most with me. As that kid who remembers you as a kid, the fact that you played with Spinal Tap is tremendous.
Well, it is like it's the best rock movie ever,
It is.
right? Obviously, all those guys, everyone involved in the movie, are just tremendous geniuses. Clearly, something that particularly tickles me is the 1 year I spent at Berklee College of Music. The weekend of orientation, you kind of get there and you're meeting the guys on your floor. You're like, hi, I'm Todd, and hi, I'm Eric, hi, I'm Lou. What do you guys play? I play bass. I play drums. Where are you guys from? The orientation was in the Berklee Performance Center. They played This Is Spinal Tap. So, of course, we all got high, and we went to the Berklee Performance Center. I was like, hey, do you smoke pot? Yeah, okay, all right. Well, get high, go down. And so that was like the icebreaker to all the incoming freshmen. It was like the Spinal Tap party. And then to think, years later that I would get to work with those guys, a few times, that is something that's truly mind-blowing.
For sure. Me. And I love Spinal Tap. That's one of the few movies I can watch more than once. I'll tell you the other one I love from that group, Mighty Wind, the other music one. That is so fantastic. Lots of laughs in that. And Catherine O'Hara is so fantastic in that, too.
Well, something I can say about Harry, Chris, and Michael is that they're all wonderful gentlemen. And it's really C.J. Vanson, their musical director, was my in. I mean, I owe that experience to him. But all those guys, they can really play and they really care about it. You think that they'd be like, this would be like some sort of folly for them. They're like, we're going to do a Jimmy Fallon show. But there's Christopher Guest, who's trying to get a sound out of the Marshall. And he's like, do we have another head? He didn't like the sound he was getting out of this head. It wasn't like, it'll be fine. We're just doing the song and I'm out of here. They really cared. And they were, oh my God, it was just a firing squad of comedy around them. And they don't really break up laughing. I'm trying not to be the stupid, guy behind. But these guys are just firing stuff off. And this is my imitation of, sorry, you viewers can't see this, but this is my imitation of Christopher Guest laughing. It's kind of a silent, and a motion with the head and kind of closing the eyes and a smile. So, if I said something that made him laugh like that, I'm like, yeah, good score.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Nailed it.
So, Spinal Tap, every band has experienced a Spinal Tap moment. I'm sure Styx isn't immune.
Oh, yeah.
What was that moment that sticks in your head?
Well, for me, I had one. We were playing at this. I always hated this place, Canocti Harbor, in Northern California. It was just sort of this ramshackle, kind of gross old resort. But they had a concert venue, and I think we played their last show. I think the stage actually broke. 38 Special played before us, and the whole lighting rig came down and almost killed everybody. It's really not that funny. It's kind of. But two Spinal Tap things happened at this very same location. I believe that the show was canceled because it was too dangerous for anyone to get on stage. We never played that night, and then I think that was it for the entire. That ruined the entire place because all they had was a concert venue. But a couple years prior to that, we used to do this thing where the last note of the last song, "Renegade," this giant Styx logo scrim would become unfurled and it would drop down behind the drums. It would say Styx, so it'd be like Styx. Well, there was a big wind gust. Something happened, and it blew this thing off the hinges and covered the drums like a parachute falling on the drum kit. And I knew it had to look like terrible because the first person to unearth me from it was our.
Wait, so it landed over you?
Oh yeah, just lights out, friggin' like a black scrim the size of like 6 cars, parked in a lot, has covered and engulfed the entire drum set. And it takes me a second to even think, what is this? What dying's like? I had no idea what happened. It was fucking lights out, right? And the first person to unearth me was our tour manager, George Packer. Not even like one of the crew guys, not even my tech, not a band member. It was George Packer, our tour manager, who had run on stage to make sure that I hadn't been killed by this thing. So yeah, that was a pretty big Spinal Tap moment, I'd say.
Thinking back to the 90s when you're just gigging around town, Falling Melindas was your band. I remember you told me a story about how Falling Melindas maybe lived beyond their means. Maybe thought perhaps I guess your reach extended your grasp.
Yeah. Well, we were all, sort of Ponzi lads trying to make it in the, what was an exciting time for rock music at that time. But we were all sort of doing pretty well. 2 of us doing a lot of recording sessions. One had made a lot of money writing ad copy. So
is that Scott?
No, Scott was doing sessions. Alan Keller
Okay.
had made a lot of money writing ad copies, and so we were all sort of, I wouldn't say well-to-do, but quite comfortable. So we weren't exactly living the man, we got to live and die by this thing. And the one thing I learned that was really valuable, and to any person out there that's in a band and you're really trying to do something, we went and did the second record up at Butch Vig's place at Smart Studios in Madison. That's the best thing you could do as a band, is to go somewhere where none of you live and make a record. Because the first record, when you're making a record, you could be like, oh, okay, so it's going to be guitars for the next 7 hours, huh? All right, I'm gonna go.
Liars Club's down the street. I'll be back.
I got to pick up my dry cleaning, and I'm gonna come back in like 7 hours. When you go to another city, like, you're all there, and you sit there, and every opinion counts, and you're forced to participate, and nothing will strengthen you as a band quite like going in there like soldiers to do a job. When you're at home, it's too easy to be distracted with other things, or your girlfriend or whatever. Go away to another city and make a record. Anyway, that's what we did for the second record. And it's funny, Alan just texted me like 3 weeks ago, and he said, holy shit, I just listened to Belittle. Wow, we were great. And we were. That was the only time in my life I ever felt like we're going to be famous. This is so great. This is undeniably great. But we were the hapless, luckless band. And case in point, the particular story that you're referring to is we got an offer to play, I think, 2 nights in the smaller room at 7th Avenue South, Prince's Club in Minneapolis. And most of the money already was going to Steve Coker, who was our sound man, who was great. And it was like, if we had big gigs, we knew we were going to sound great with him. Mm-hmm. So most of the money, if not all, went to him. And Steve was going to drive all the band's gear in his big white empty shell van. And then we were going to follow in like 2 cars. Well, the weather took a turn for the worse, like the night before we were due to leave. And we all looked at each other and said, well, we're not going to drive, let's get plane tickets right now. So we all got plane tickets. Where did we stay? Like the downtown Sheraton City Center, And I think the gigs paid like $200 a night, so already.
So the plane ticket's already set.
Oh, yeah. And they were staying at a Sheraton, and I remember that we're having, sort of like, lobster ravioli and shrimp scampi, and we're, eating well. And,
Not KFC.
No. And Scott Bennett famously said, "Hey, if no one's going to treat us like rock stars, we will."
It's a self-actualizing thing, right?
Yes, but really, as a business model, to spend $1,800 to make $400 is not a model that's going to last for very long, and unless you had unlimited resources, of course. And I suppose some people have that, but in our case, it was just one of the cracks in the armor that was to ultimately be our undoing.
So, all right, I'm going to drive you back. So you have a gig tonight as we're recording this. Before I drive you back, looking back on 20 incredible years with Styx, what stands out the most for you? I mean, you play like 100 gigs a year. I mean, it's probably hard to identify one thing, but maybe it's an emotion, a vibe.
It's such a wonderful shared collective experience to be able to play music that means something to people. And even though, I'm certainly aware that I was not the guy in the original records that everyone fell in love with. Those guys sold 30+ million records before I came along. But still, I'm part of the machine. Even if I, was only here 1 year. You look out and you see what this music means to people.
Means to people across different generations too.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, there'll be 16-year-olds in the front singing every word, or there'll be a couple of gray-haired people. It's so far-reaching that like I said, no matter how I might be feeling when I get on stage, and this isn't like trite bullshit here. Like the songs become reborn, and they're a live, living organism right in front of their very eyes. Now, that's a particular philosophy to which I've always subscribed to. Like, really quick, going back to Brian Wilson. Like, I know that I did his first ever solo tour in '99, and I know that songs like Fun, Fun, Fun and Surfin' USA have been done gazillions of times by wedding bands, bar bands, like throughout the decades, right? But what makes this different? Well, here I'm performing this music with the guy who wrote it, and in some cases sang them. So when I play, that's got to feel fun, man. That's got to feel like, hey, we're in a car and we're in Malibu and we're going to the beach. Yeah, fuck yeah, this is happening now. It can't sound like, I'm looking at my watch and I'm just playing this dumb 60s beat and I'm just making a paycheck and just being like the tasteless bread that holds the meat on a sandwich. Like, it has to come alive, in full Technicolor for everyone to feel that palpable energy and that life force and that vibrancy. Like, oh my God, this is Brian Wilson. He's singing, Good Vibrations right now. It has to feel that way. So I take that same feeling in with the band to play like, oh my God, they're playing Blue Collar Man. Like, I love this song. Or like, this is my favorite song in high school. Whatever. It has to come alive and it has to be real every night.
It's those opening drums for Grand Illusion that I like. Grand Illusion storms in such a triumphant way. I love seeing you do that one.
Well, it's Grand is the first.
Indeed. Is there a favorite song? A song you really just cannot wait to play every night?
Yeah, there's a couple. Like, Fooling Yourself has always been a favorite of mine. We've been doing Man in Wilderness for a couple years now, and I think that's one of the best songs in the entire Styx canon. And we've been doing Lights sort of for the first time in full form this year. So that's a lot of fun for me. But there's something special about anything from the Grand Illusion record, because that was the first record that I got from the band. Like, I was aware of the band. I knew Lady, because that became a hit in '74, 2 years after it was already released. But Grand Illusion was the first record that I went and bought from them, and then bought all the ones that came after it.
All right, Todd, I'm so glad we got to reconnect over sausage.
We're done. That's it. I'm ready to go for like another 4 or 5 hours.
Well, you got a sound check, right?
Well, Hubs is right down the road. We can go.
Some ribs and some gyros.
Come on, it's dessert, right?
It's the all Atkins Saturday. All right, Todd, thank you. You're amazing.
Oh, James, what a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. I was looking forward to this, and you did not disappoint, and nor did Poochie's.
No, it really didn't.